We're being asked here to answer a question that's relating to vectors. And as you can see here, we've got these magnitude signs and the vector signs. And it can be really helpful if we unpack what this actually means. For example, I've got modulus sign A plus B modulus sign. So let's unpack that. These modulus signs, either side of vectors, that means the magnitude or the length of the vector. So what this question's actually asking is, if the length of two vectors together equals the length of one vector plus the length of the other vector and none of them are zero, which one must be true? So let's have a look at our options. Option A says that the two vectors are parallel. So you'll have vector A and vector B, for example. And let's assume that I've drawn them perfectly and they're parallel. What we're looking for is the question of, is there any circumstance in which adding these two vectors, the total length does not equal the length of one plus the length of the other? And there is no way that I can add two parallel vectors and not have the length of the two together equal the length of the two separately. So A is my prime answer right now. But let's have a look at some of the other options. If A and B are equal to each other, that's possible, but it's also possible that they're not equal to each other. So it may be true, but it's not necessarily true. What if A has a vector that goes this way and B has a vector that goes this way, and they're both exactly the same length, but they go in different directions? Then if there's 90 degrees, for example, or any angle, the cosine rule of Pythagoras would tell us that the resulting vector is not the same length. So that's not true. If A and B are equal to each other as vectors, this is also true, that adding them will equal the sum of the parts. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they must be equal to each other. Any parallel vector will do, so that's not true. If they're opposite vectors, if A looks like this and B looks like this, then again, we have vectors that are very similar, but the length of A plus the length of B will not equal 0, which is A plus B, so therefore that's not correct. And finally, the idea that A and B are perpendicular, if A is like this and B is like this, then when we add them, Pythagoras will tell us that the length of the hypotenuse, which is A plus B in this circumstance, will not equal A plus B in their lengths. So therefore E is not correct, which means the correct answer here is answer A. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe or like. Thanks.